Hey, welcome to Beyond the Footprints, our podcast where we talk about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, cryptids, and other strange happenings in the woods. I'm Stu Johnson, and I got my partner here with me,
Brandon Hoffines.
and we've got an excellent guest for today. And Brandon's going to tell you a little bit about him, and then we'll get things going here.
Yeah, sounds good. So, this is a gentleman that we've met probably about 2 months ago. I met him online. We were through, I think, the Squatchcon website and the Facebook page, and he was following us and really wanted to get out to Squatchcon this last August, but wasn't able to. But what we were able to do is sit down and talk, and he told me a little bit about who he was, what he's all about, why he loves and believes and knows that Sasquatch is a real live, living bipedal creature. And he's got some really cool talents. And so we're going to jump right in. So this is Chris Miller, guys. And Chris Miller, I know we tried last time and the internet wasn't working, but we got it working. It seems to be doing really, really well. You're not choppy, you're not breaking up. So this is going to be a great podcast, I feel.
Good deal.
So tell us a little bit about you.
Sharing.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about you.
Let's see. I'm 42, I believe. Live in Mountain Grove, Missouri. Public speaking, which is what kind of this is not my favorite thing, but I feel like my story is kind of important. So I'm sharing and doing what I do to bring awareness to whatever it was I heard almost exactly 2 years ago. So I heard a whoop. That's the only way to describe it. It sounded like a tornado siren going off, and I'm actually sitting in the same spot right now, right where I heard it about 2 years ago on the money. And then my buddy heard it about 2 weeks later, and we ended up hunting opening morning from my shop. And he's an infantry guy like me, so he's an outdoorsman. We don't scare easy when it comes to woods and animals and all that, and neither one of us made each other feel funny about it. So what are you gonna do? It's my noise has been out there for 2 years, and not one person can tell me for sure, oh, that's this. Nobody's said anything. So
They haven't associated
I can try to demonstrate it.
Animal or anything. Is that what you're saying?
It's nothing I've ever heard. I work on my front porch. This is kind of my studio, if you will. And I decided, I'm going to stay up. I'm going to stay at night, and I'm going to listen. Since this is where I heard it, I figured it's the best place to hear it again. And, hopefully I can record it. I actually found almost exactly what I heard on YouTube. It took me like 3 months of looking to find it.
And what was it? What did it sound like?
It sounds like, I'll try to demonstrate it. I couldn't do it for a long time, but here you go. It's like, way longer, way louder, and I felt it. And I thought, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? So I stood here because I can't actually see out, and I thought, I don't care if this kills me. I have to know what that was. So I ran out, and I see my cat at the end of my sidewalk, and he's freaked out. Like he's looking this way, looking that way, and he kind of zeroes in on a tree in my front yard. I've got these big white oak trees, and I thought, what are you looking at, buddy? And then all of a sudden, his head just whips right, and I thought, what was that? Why would he do that? So he actually went missing that night. So I can't say that Bigfoot took him, but I don't know what else to say, and I can't for sure say it's Bigfoot, and it's an unanswered question, and that's what bothers me. So I kind of went on this, I don't know, kind of a dual-sided quest, I guess. So I've been drawing Bigfoot now for a little over a year. I started my Facebook page October 19th, I believe. And so I just celebrated my year of nothing but Sasquatch drawings for the most part. And I try to do it as many as possible, as good as I could. and I filled up 4 sketchbooks in the process.
Did you have
Wow.
And
sketchbooks
I also,
before? Were you an active artist before, or did this something that just kind of sprung out of this?
I wasn't an active artist. I've just always drawn. It's just, I've always kind of wanted to, and I never really felt like I had the talent, to be, like a professional. And I feel like this has actually helped the process. I've gotten a lot better. I don't know if you've seen any of my Facebook reels, but man, I was watching them the other night, and some of them are pretty cheesy. They're pretty bad. And I'm getting better, and I'm actually to the point now where I actually like some of my stuff, and it actually comes out a lot like, kind of what I was thinking. So uh it's been a good thing for me. It wasn't at first. It was an unanswered question, and I felt maybe not like I was being watched, but it was not a good feeling. I looked at my property way different after that.
Oh, I bet.
Interesting.
I have seen some of your reels and I've seen some of your art, and it's been actually pretty cool to watch and see you improve. You can totally tell from when you started to kind of where you are now. And what's really cool is this is we all have that dream of watching and seeing our dream come to life, right? But you literally get to see your dream come to life. So tell us a little bit more about that. Like what do I mean by that? Because a lot of people are like, I don't know, I don't understand what he's talking about. But you do. So tell us what that means.
So maybe 4 years ago, I started going to an army reunion, and the guy who's kind of the host of it, Shannon Corbin, he kind of put some stuff on Facebook, and I thought, I kind of wanted to give him some flack for it, and I bought this app, and it was like $37 for life or something. And what it does is you take a picture of someone, and it animates them to the song that you pick. So that's where it started. And I had a hard time getting it to work because he had a big beard like me, and he had a big mustache kind of covering his mouth. So it didn't want to see his mouth. So I had to take his picture into my studio on my phone, and I drew like a line where his mouth should have been. And it actually
Mm.
worked. And it wasn't perfect, but and that's kind of where it started. And then I thought, I got this app, I might as well use it. $37 worth, I might as well. So I actually took a picture of my Bigfoot drawing that I just drew, just to see, and it was an experiment, and it worked, and I was hooked, and I haven't been able to set it down ever since. Um, it my first one, it wasn't as good, but it actually animated, first try. Some of these I have to work on and redraw and fiddle with them, and sometimes it's a real process, but it's actually helped me draw better. AI's kind of helped teach me what it's looking for, and it's looking for a human face. So I'm trying to mold it, and I'm pushing the limits. And uh, as far as I know, I kind of created my own niche by accident. And you can people can poke fun at it, and that's kind of what I want them to do. But at the same time, I'm not trying to hurt the Bigfoot community or make fun of them. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to just kind of deal with what I saw, or what I heard, and the thing I did see. Um, Speaking of, I went for a walk in the woods a couple days ago. We got around 40 acres, and it's all wooded. And don't ask me why, but there was a whole pile of berries at the base of a tree, and I thought they were deer poop. That's what it looked like to me. And I looked a little closer, and it wasn't deer poop. It was berries. And I thought, I've never seen that before. So that was a new one. I actually found an X structure behind my shop, and I found that right near about the time when I heard it. And so that's kind of how I made the association. And then I couldn't find that noise anywhere but on a Bigfoot YouTube channel. So,
Gotcha.
like I said, it's the only thing that makes sense. And I actually recently met a guy who heard the same thing, and he lives 4 miles down the road.
Hmm.
And he didn't even know what I was talking about I listened to what he said first, and he gave me the two details. He heard it the same year I did, and he heard it at the same time, and he actually saw it. He said it looked like a grizzly running away, which we don't have
Uh,
grizzlies. We do
yeah.
have black bear. We do have mountain lions. You know, so there's a lot of deer here, critters for days. You know, there's all kinds of food for the thing to eat
Yeah.
if that's what it is. I'm a survivalist, and that's really what my passion is. And this is kind of like, I thought it may be a way to teach me how to use Facebook and some of the other, technology that I might need to share my survival skills. And I just haven't got there yet.
So I got a couple of questions for you when it comes to that instance. So again, how long ago was it? When did it happen?
It was the October. I heard it in October of 21,
Okay.
and my
So a
buddy
couple
heard it
years
about
ago.
2 weeks later. Yep.
Okay. So 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And then that other guy that you were just talking to heard at the same time, same year, and he actually saw something run
Yep.
that looked like a grizzly. Now, my question
Yep.
to you is, when he said it looked like a grizzly, was it on four legs or was it bipedal?
I think it was the color. I think it was the color and about the size is what he was trying to, if I had to guess what he was, I think that's what he was trying to describe is the color. He also said they heard
Gotcha.
it throwing rocks in the water. I think that's actually what
Okay.
drew their attention to it, is the rocks in the water.
And they live
I
pretty close
recently
to a
met a guy.
stream?
There's a lot of water, close by. We got the Gasconade. That's about 8 minutes from my house. Where I live, there's kind of lots of draws and natural water flow, and there's lots of little river spots real close to me.
Yeah, okay.
I'm kind of new to this area, so I didn't really want to come out with, hey, I'm the new guy in town and I'm the Bigfoot guy. So I literally didn't want it to be Bigfoot. As much as I'm into Bigfoot, I did not want to come out and say, hey, I'm the local guy. I'm the new guy. I really thought my friends were going to come out from behind my barn and say, man, we got you good. But it never happened. And, you know, I looked and I looked. I've looked up elk. I've looked up mountain lions. I looked up bears. Any and every kind of bird that I could think of. I'm an amateur bird watcher too, so I for a minute I thought it might be a bird, and that's what I was kind of hoping it would be. I was hoping it'd be some kind of owl or something, migrating through, but
Yeah.
haven't found it yet. If I do find it, I'm gonna blast it everywhere just so people know, because it really kind of stuck with me. It messed me up for a minute. I'm good
Yeah, I
now,
bet.
but I wouldn't for, I'd say it was probably about 8 months. I had a hard time sleeping. I had a hard time just, relaxing to the point of, I was always on guard.
So it
I
was kind
really
of
felt like I
intimidating.
needed to.
So the sound was
Oh
somewhat
man,
intimidating when it happened.
yeah, instantly. I'm talking, I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, and I've never heard that before. It was like wham, 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 wham. And it really, like I said, I've never, I was infantry, I've been in some, interesting situations. I never saw combat, but I've been in all the training, and sometimes just the training's enough. They make it as realistic as possible, and you know, nothing, nothing has scared me like that. Not even come close.
So were like you said, you moved there, you were the Bigfoot guy, you didn't want to be known as the Bigfoot guy. But you're a true Squatchnut. You're just nuts about Sasquatch. So how
Yeah.
long have you been a squat or a Squatchnut? How long have you been a Squatchnut?
I hate to bring this up, but I grew up in foster care, and the reason why I felt like I needed to figure it out is because I thought I might have to run away. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have to run away and Bigfoot's a real thing, I might have to deal with it. So I needed to figure out what it was. And I felt like, there were clues in the Bible, that talked about giants and some of the other stuff. And I thought, it's always that, aliens, dinosaurs. Those are the big three that I really wanted to figure out. and I feel like I've figured out the other two, but Bigfoot's still the,
The mystery.
if it's a, if it's a, yeah, if it's a person, then it's a person. If it's an ape, then it's an ape. If it's, woo, then that's what it is. Whatever it is, I want to know. And I never really wanted to know quite so bad until about 2 years ago. So
Right.
I've kept my eye peeled, and I look at things through lots of different lenses, hoping to figure it out. I read every book in my library in high school on Bigfoot, and I never ever would have thought like the woo side. I never would entertain that idea until recently. Only it wasn't on my radar. How's that?
No, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes
So
sense.
you've
Yeah.
been, so you've been a Squatchnut for a long time since you were growing up, and you were telling me too before the show that you did a lot of other readings, right? So you read a lot of books
Oh
on
yeah.
survival. So tell us a little
Oh
bit
yeah.
about that, because you bring up that past, right? And I just want to say I commend you for sharing that. It takes a brave guy to bring up a past that he wishes that he could forget. And I know that there's a lot of things that happened to you, which we're not going to discuss, but there's a lot of things that did happen to you that you had to adapt to. And then you started to read how to survive, right? You wanted to know what was out in the wilderness because you thought you were going to have to run away. So tell us about that. So tell us when you started reading the survivalist books, and what you've learned, and what are some of the craziest things that, for us, if me and Stu were to go out in the mountains, it's something that we would probably never even think about, that we would have to think about.
I I got a couple for you. Okay, so I started reading Gary Paulson books, and I think there's a book called The Hatchet. And what he does
Yeah.
is he's always putting these teens in these situations that are survival situations. And, you can glean maybe, 4 or 5 really good survival tips or more from each book. So I read those series. When it came to survival, I had no idea where to start. So that's just kind of where it started. And then I thought, well, I'm going to join the army. The army, they're going to teach me all kinds of stuff, infantry especially, and I really didn't learn anything survival other than like camouflage and, a few other things, but not tips per se, So I've implemented a lot of the things they've taught me, just having the experience of carrying things, knowing what that feels like, and knowing how to prepare for like a road march, and you got to have lots of changes of socks, and you got to really take care of your feet, and little tips like that. When it comes to mind-blowing survival tips, right when I thought I knew like most of what there is to know, I'll stumble on something, and I'm like, man, just blow your brain. You just have a new look at things. There's something called a fire roll, where you take a
Okay.
cotton ball, and there's many ways to do this, but this is the way I found. And it's a cotton ball. You rip it in half, and you put wood ashes on it, and you roll it away from you. Pick it up, bring it back, roll it away from you. Do that maybe 3 or 4 times, and it tightens up that little roll. And then you roll it in between two surfaces. Well, I didn't know any better, and I heard about it, and so I put it in between two boards, and I went like this, and it worked. And it looks like 2 cigarette cherries hot, and it's very like
So it
it
started
blew
on
my
fire.
mind. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I could probably, let's see. I usually keep a cotton ball in my pocket just for that reason.
That's crazy. So you take a cotton ball and you rip it in
Yeah, there
half,
you go.
and then you start
Regular wood
rubbing it.
ash.
You roll it in.
In between two flat surfaces.
Well,
You
but
want
you roll
medium
it in.
pressure?
Yeah. So, but you roll it in what first?
So you take, here's a cotton ball,
Yep.
and you sprinkle wood ashes on it.
Wood
The
ashes.
white,
Okay.
the white part of the ashes. That's
Yep.
one of many things you can use. And then you just kind of start real close to you and just roll it away, as tight as you can get it. And the reason why you pick it up and bring it back to you is so it doesn't unroll.
Mm.
Because the rolling away is what tightens it. So it's a
Gotcha.
delicate balance. I don't want to like you can really complicate a simple thing, but if you roll it too tight, it doesn't get air and it won't work.
I
So
gotcha.
you can actually, on that last stroke, you can pull it back real quick, and that'll help unroll it. And you'll see smoke coming out of it, and you just kind of sit there and kind of tease it, give it some air and play with it, and you'll see it. It'll light. It
That's
blew my
crazy.
mind. And you can use rust, you can use cotton, handkerchief, t-shirt. They say cotton kills in the survival world. I want to change that. Yes, it can hurt you, but yes, it can also save you. You want a couple,
Sure.
couple cotton, like at least a handkerchief or a t-shirt with you or something.
Yeah. So you can take that
You know,
apart and then you can roll that.
Yep. You can also you can use paper towels. You can use yucca, any kind of fibrous, organic material. I've seen a guy actually take a yucca leaf, green leaf, and scrape it with a spoon to where it exposes the fibers, and take it from leaf to fire roll within 30 minutes. Because
Hmm.
it needs to dry. And it actually, you can actually spit on your hand when you go to roll it, and it doesn't affect it. It'll still light on fire. So
That's
I
crazy.
think it's a very useful skill, and it just shows you that right when you know something, someone will teach you something that you don't know.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was
I didn't know anything about
one
that.
of my favorites.
I
You
didn't know
didn't? You
anything
haven't
about
heard
that.
that?
Did you? No, I never heard of that. Stu, have you?
Yes, I have. But I'm much older than you,
There you go.
Brandon. Uh, and I have so many more years of experience of learning new things. So
You're so wise, Stu. I'm gonna be like you one day. That's my goal in
oh,
life.
oh my goodness.
So every night when I write in my journal, I end my entry with, "I want to be like Stu."
I wonder what Stu's doing tomorrow.
Trying to take over the world.
That's right. Well,
Oh,
that's pretty interesting stuff, man. Have you ever found yourself having to use any of that survival tactic out in the wilderness, other than just
I
for fun?
I'm a preparedness kind of guy. So the first rule of my survival is don't put yourself in a survival situation. But there's quite a few times where something that I've learned will come in handy. You got water is the number one. You need water and fire. And in my book, I think fire is just as important as water, because it allows
Sure.
you to boil the water. But here's another one you may or may not know. You can take a clear, opaque, opaque to clear is best, bag, and you put it around some foliage on a tree, and you wrap it as tight as you can so nothing can get out. And what'll happen is the sun will bake all those leaves in there, all the moisture gases off and collects down in the bottom corner. And it's surprisingly effective. And it's not like an active, you have to do anything. You just kind of sit back and watch it work. That's a really
Interesting.
good. You can't use a black plastic bag, doesn't work. It needs the sun to be able to get through the plastic to make it work. It's a lot like like the solar. You've heard of the solar still. That you have to
Hmm.
dig a big hole. To me, by the time you dig your big hole, you've already sweated more than what you'd gain,
right. You
from the
use
solar.
all.
It's all about energy conservation and thinking smart. Work smart, not hard. That's what my grandpa
Yep.
used to say. So, and
Wise
experiment.
man.
Experiment.
Yeah.
You never know until
Wise
you try
man.
it. If it doesn't cost you any energy and it's just time, why not? Some of my best
Yeah.
stuff that I've come up with has been from, well, I know this works. What about this? And take it a little further. And I make a lot of little alcohol stoves, uh, like organic stoves that burn, little chunks of leaves and stuff like that. Um, just having those ideas up here, not in a book, but have them here. Sometimes you can make something you find out in the world work. Trash is key. You look for trash, an old glass bottle, or, even a tin can, a beer can that's been out there for 20 years, still useful, in a survival situation. There's so many different things you can do with just a soda can. You can even light a fire with a soda can. You polish the bottom of it, ta-da, you got a parabolic mirror.
That's cool.
I didn't
Don't
know
get me
that one.
started on survival.
I know you can talk all day.
I literally
You know,
can, and
have you written
So
any
have you?
books on it?
I haven't. I've actually considered writing a book and maybe drawing a book. I thought some
So
diagrams might help.
So have you done any exploratory exploring to find the creature that made that whoop on your property or near your property? Have you put anything together to try to go find it or anything like that?
Um, yes and no. I didn't actually that night. I never really thought to go look for footprints or anything because I didn't hear it walking or anything. All I did was heard the noise. I did walk around, and I think the next day I was kind of thinking footprints, but nothing. I've never actually found anything that I thought looked like a footprint. I've seen, some trails. I've I call I've got these things all over my property where I call them shooting lanes because that's what they are to me. But it looks like a highway to me where you can see something large is using this as a trail, but it's not it's not worn down, but you can see where the trees, if they don't grow in an area, something is keeping them from growing. So I find those on my property here and there. Um, I've got lots of pictures of weird structures that there's so many deadfall trees and stuff, but it's just every once in a while it'll stand out and say, man, that one doesn't jive for me. That actually looks like maybe, I think they call them like stick glyphs. Some people
Yeah.
say that, like a marker. Sometimes they actually, there's a few that I'm thinking there's a good chance that's what they are. So I'll just snap a picture of it, and who
Yeah.
knows?
Do you have the picture still?
Yeah.
Do you
Hmm.
mind sending
Yeah.
in some and sending us some, and then we can post
Sure.
it on our
Yeah, sure.
Facebook page? Perfect. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
So that way
I
our
can
viewers
actually
can see
I
it.
can send you the ones from a couple days ago too.
And we
I
definitely need
included
this
them in a reel that I made.
we
Sorry,
need
go
this
go
Facebook
Stu.
page too to put that on the link to link to, so people can link there.
You need a what? You say you
Your
need a what?
the Facebook page link, so we can put
Oh,
that
okay.
on. Yeah, with this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Send all that to
I can actually
me
do that now.
through the messenger. Yeah, there you go.
And that'll get
I've learned
more.
how to
That'll
do
get
that. I'm proud of
exposed.
myself.
It'll get exposed to more people. The tens of thousands of people who watch our
Tens and
podcast.
thousands.
Tens of
We
Yeah,
got
millions watch our
millions. That's right. You
millions.
know what?
There you
millions
go.
of followers.
That's exactly right. And growing. So
Now, have you ever tried anything in your areas from that noise? Have you like found a place back away from your property where you could do like try a gift exchange by putting out like a marble or anything to see if that might be of interest to your Bigfoot? I'm just going to call him your Bigfoot, even though you haven't officially seen him.
Okay, I'll share something here on the show that I wouldn't normally. And I'm a new deer hunter, right? I didn't grow up doing it. All my friends did, but because of the way I grew up, I just wasn't exposed to it. So I had to teach myself how to hunt deer. And it's not as easy as what you think. A lot of people just sit there and wait for the deer to come to them. And I can't sit still. I'm too ADHD. And I actually threw out a bag of apples in my backyard. I don't hunt back there. And I thought, well, that's totally okay. That's legal. So the night my buddy heard it, I had done that. And so I kind of thought that might have acted like a gift exchange. Um, I've heard that you don't want to do the gift exchange, you know, uh, because if you stop, as food, you know, might potentially make something angry. So I don't, I don't do that, and I don't. For me, I don't want to do that. Um, but it would be a good way. It's a good way. There's certain things that you could do that there's no other critter could do this or that. Um, I found a few areas on my property. This is something that I haven't shared much. I just recently found another deer, another one. I found as many as 8 so far. That I'm not a poacher. I really don't eat a lot of the meat. Uh, there's no reason for anyone else around me. I would know. I'm here all the time. I'm a caregiver. Uh, so no one's poaching on my property is what I'm trying to say. But I found 2
Right.
deer within 20 feet of each other right after my buddies and I had looked for mushrooms, as well as 2 armadillos. I recently found another armadillo this week in my front yard, right by the highway. There's a depression, like it looks like something had dug, and I don't know if it dug it up, like maybe it was in a hole and it dug it up, but it ate it right there on the spot. It's dead. So, I can't.
Wow.
I don't reach for Bigfoot first. I wanna go for everything but Bigfoot. I want to rule out any any potential whatever. It needs to
Sure.
scream Bigfoot before I even say Bigfoot.
Sure. So the deer that you actually found, tell us more about that. Did you find any markings? Were they eaten from the gut? Can you tell? Typically, if it's a gut, right? Everybody knows I'm a huge avid hunter. Everybody who's been listening to us long enough knows that. Same with Stu. So
Right.
we know what predators are going to start where on the animal. So wolf and coyote are going to go right for the gut. That's what they do.
But yeah, that's where all the
Um,
nutrients are. It's
that's
easiest
where all
to
the
get to.
nutrients are. That's exactly right. So
Yep.
my thing is if you see the gut tore out of an animal, it's most likely going to be either a wolf or a coyote or maybe even a bear. But the thing with a bear and a cougar is they like to bury it, especially a bear. The bear will bury their their meal before they actually will
The
eat
carcass.
it, the
Oh, they
carcass.
let it kind
And
of decompose a little.
exactly. Yep. And then it actually kind
Interesting.
of saves it just a little bit because it's in the earth and whatnot. And then it's out, it's not in the wild and there's not other predators that are going to grab it. They know that, hey, this is actually someone's food. They're going to leave it alone. So my
Yeah.
question to you is long-winded question. I apologize, but the
No,
deer
you're
that you
good. You're good.
found, 8 so far, what were the markings? Like, what did it look like to you? Where were they eaten?
The first one that I found, my neighbor tipped me off, and his wife and son were walking, and they actually saw the deer. That because it had a big rack, they saw it from their property, and so he tipped me off, and I went out there and looked at it, and it was a 9 pointer. It was a
That's
pretty
huge.
decent sized deer, and I
That's
didn't
a big
see
deer.
any evidence. Yeah, and I didn't see any evidence of no bullet, nothing to bone. All the bones I could see were, they were intact. So I didn't find an arrow. If it was like a hunter, and it ran off, you'd think you'd find,
Right.
at least a part of an arrow. Um, I
Right.
have pictures. I can search through my phone. Its head had been twisted at least once, a full 360, and maybe some more. So by the time I got to it, I actually collected the head easily, and I have the skull just because I'm into that stuff. But and so that was the first one, and then the other 2 were does. They're actually down the hill from my house. They were they were eating so far that it looked like most everything had, it was gone. I couldn't tell gut versus,
Right.
like
Right.
that. The
Right.
other one, I could tell it had a lot of dirt around it where it looked like, I'm guessing coyotes, had been dragging it back and forth. And I mean, it was a really big, probably 20-foot circle where the leaves were kind of, pulled back. Where these other 2, they weren't like that. And some of the other ones I've found, most of the time, by the time I find them, they're mostly, you know.
Okay.
Mostly gone, decomposing.
Yeah, no more.
Nothing really
Yeah,
left.
you bet.
But
Yep.
what was really striking to me was when you actually described the buck, the first deer, where the head was actually twisted around 2 to 3 times. That right there takes an amount of
Yes, it
power
is.
that a lot of us just don't understand. So
Yes, it does.
deer, especially in the neck, are very, very strong. So when rutting season comes, which is November, they're always going head to head using their antlers to fight off the other bucks to get to the does. So that muscle tissue that is in their neck is by far some of the strongest tissue that's on that entire body. So for
Yeah.
that to be able to be twisted 3 times takes an enormous amount of power to be able to do that. I've seen it where they get caught up in fences. I've seen it where they actually lock antlers and one of
Yep.
them will die and the head is then ripped off by the other one and it's walking around with a skull, if you will.
Yep. Yep.
And
I've seen
so
that.
we've had to call Fish and Game to come out and tranquilize the other one so we could take that other one off. And yeah, we did keep that skull as well. You know, when you European mount the skulls, if you guys don't know what
That's
that
what
is,
I
it's
do.
where you take the entire skin off and then you bleach it. You boil all the stuff off, you bleach it, make it white. It is actually a really, really pretty mount. Um,
Mhm.
and it's in my way honoring the animal, especially when I harvest an animal. It's because then that way I'm always there to be reminded that that animal gave its life for me to be able to provide the nutrients and the sustenance that my family needs. So
Yep.
it's just always a humbling experience when I see that, and I just want to give thanks every time I see it. So, um, guys, I'm just blown away by that. I mean, Stu, what do you think? What's going through your mind?
Well, so it struck me the same about the twisting of the head because it's like number one, the thing that hit me first was there's no deer that's going to crawl. Even if it was poached somewhere else and it came to that location to die, there's no way that any deer is going to twist its neck around 3 times before it drops dead right there. To be lying
It
there.
was it
So
was at least
it had to do it.
1.5 times full rotations.
So I'm exaggerating.
And my
One and a half.
thinking is, if
Yeah.
no, it's fine. No, it's fine. I just wanted to make sure I was clear because the pictures show it. And when if I was to try to do that myself to a deer, I couldn't do that. And I'm a
Right.
decently,
That's
I
what
mean,
I'm
I'm not
that's right.
I'm not a huge
And that's
guy,
where
but
I'm
I
going
couldn't
with
do
that.
it. It would turn the deer. If I tried
Yes.
to do that, there's no way you could do that and the deer not follow it around when you're turning.
Exactly. I
Unless
mean,
it's a
you
strong,
have both
strong
heads
thing.
and move the whole body. Yeah, and that's what I've
Yep.
done before. That's my experience. That's why that jumped out at me. Also, it's
Yep.
like that. So it's
Yep.
got to take some strength to hold the body in place to twist that neck. I mean, it's just crazy
Yep.
to think about the strength that would take because you'd have to hold that body with something.
Yeah,
My first year,
exactly.
my first year,
Whatever.
it was out at my mother-in-law's property, which is let's see, about 40 minutes away from me. And I've actually heard a noise out there that scared me really bad too. And there's actually some sightings out there too. But my first deer, I was field dressing it. I had no idea what I was doing really. I had an idea, but not really. So I was working my way. It was a very spiritual experience for me to do that. And I got to the last part where you have to separate everything, in the esophagus. And I thought, well, I'll just pull it out of there. I'll just pull it out of there. I gave it
No,
everything I had, and it wouldn't.
yeah,
And that's just
It's not
one
coming
that
out of
that's just one little piece. You had to reach up in there and cut it, but it taught me a lot. And I looked at things differently after I'd done that.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as what you think it'd be.
what people may imagine. Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, you need to get some cameras up, right? And I would say try to go out there and do some berries again. Maybe do some apples, right? I know that you kind of are a little skeptical, or not really skeptical, but a little apprehensive of doing the gift exchange because you want to make it mad. But if you did the berries, and it's the same type of berries in the woods, it's not going to really think, hey, what this is this just a trade, is this a gift? It's just going to be like, oh, cool, berries right here. and then maybe set up like some sort of a camera that actually will watch it and see what comes in. That would be pretty
I'm
cool.
not
And
sure
then you
what
could,
kind of berries those were either. I
yeah,
think they're either elderberries or hackberries. And hackberries are usually, in a taller tree, and birds feed on those after they've kind of, I'll just say these were ripe berries. They were like a purple, real dark purple color. I'll send you the picture when I send the other
yeah.
ones.
Send a picture.
Um,
Send a picture.
so I just thought it was really strange, and it was over in the area of where I thought I saw a head of a Bigfoot potentially looking at me. So that
Interesting.
was interesting. And then both of these two deer that I'm talking about, the one recently and then that first one, are in an area that I know they cross, and it's always been the place to see them cross. Like when you drive through, you always
Yeah.
slow down there because you just know they're going to be there.
Have you
Um,
found any footprints?
I can't say that. I actually had a psych out today, and it was my dog. It stepped on his, it stepped right next
Yep.
to, and it looked
His
like
other paw.
what
Yep.
I would imagine. Yeah, yeah. I'm a tracker as well. I'm a novice. I'm not an expert at anything. I feel like I'm always learning whatever, but I do take an interest in that because it's a valuable skill. I actually got to test it out not too long ago. There was a robbery, and I kind of thwarted. Either way, this robbery happened. I didn't realize that was what's going on. I shined my light over there, and I didn't see anything. The next morning, turns out they had gotten away with some stuff, and I
Mhm.
led the sheriff's, the local guys on basically the track, and I found their trail and found where they'd cut the fence and all that. So it was kind of a cool moment because the lady said, "You obviously have skills I don't have." So so it gave me some confidence that I knew what I was doing, and I never lost their trail. So that
Nice.
made me feel good too. Uh, One of my favorite, survivalists. I've heard that he's a fraud, but he claims to have taken off all his clothes and walked out in the woods, and he lived for a year. Yeah, that's the
Hmm.
story. And I thought, man, if I wasn't married and I didn't have kids, I'd like to try that. I really think I could do it. I've
Well,
tried
what's
out for,
having kids and being married holding you back for, man? Maybe that's what you need to do.
right?
You better watch out for
um,
Brandon. He'll talk you into things if you're not careful.
I actually tried. I tried out
Stu,
for
you're next.
before my son before my son was born. I tried out for Survivor twice, and I guess my thinking is he needs me, and he'd have a better life, with me around.
Yeah,
So I'm trying
exactly
to
right.
actually break. I'm trying to break the cycle, not you know. So
Good
that's
for
one of
you,
the
man.
reasons why. That's one of the reasons why.
That's an honorable thing to do, and I commend you for that. Not a lot of fathers or anybody out there nowadays would do that. If times are getting too tough, guess what they do? They bail. It's a lot easier to do
Mhm.
that than actually man up and actually just be like, you know what, I'm gonna put away and put aside all my needs and wants for my kids. So I commend you for that, man.
I appreciate that. I've got a good
So
wife, so she makes it easy to stick around, and she takes care of me pretty
nice.
good, and I
Good.
try to take care of her pretty good. So, we've
Good.
got a good thing going. I'm wearing my lucky shirt because I actually feel pretty lucky today. So, um, you know,
Well, you
looking
are
looking
lucky
positive.
because well, yeah, I mean, you are lucky because check it out, man. We made it through a whole entire podcast without you having to get off, come back on, and it's working. So it's your lucky day, man.
Without
Yeah,
any
it
any
is.
network issues with any three of us. Any of us. That's kind of
With any
awesome.
of us,
Hey,
yeah. I mean, so
don't
there you
speak it out
go.
now.
Right?
Don't jinx us.
Don't jinx it. So,
No jinx.
okay, so real quick before we head off and before we get
Yeah.
off and let everybody go, tell us what is the name of your Facebook page?
It's AOS dash sketch dash squatch.
Okay, guys, AOS dash sketch Squatch. You guys want to look him up.
Yep.
He's got some really cool things going on. We'll have it in the link. If you go to squatchnut.com, he actually is following us on there as well, so you can look him up on that. But we'll have the links below, so then that way you guys can follow him. Chris, thanks again, man, for coming on. Really enjoyed having you on. Thank you for your stories and your experiences. We really enjoyed having you. We want to see you again.
Yes,
I was
sir.
about to say I've got a lot more. I'd like to share and kind of get into how I got started and why I kept at it.
That's gonna
So
be. Let's do that.
something
Let's
to
do a
remember.
next. Yep,
To be continued at some point.
Yeah,
that's
part
right.
two.
To be
Part
continued.
two. Thanks for
So,
having me on. I really appreciate it.
yeah, you bet, man. Thank you. And for all of our listeners out there, we just want to say thank you again for all of your support. Thank you for listening to us and watching us and giving us some really good feedback. If you guys have a sighting, if you have an encounter, if you've experienced anything just that is crazy, unexplainable, mysterious, anything like that, cryptic, please reach out to us at Beyond the Footprints at gmail.com, or just go to the Beyond the Footprints Facebook page and find us there, message us, and we would love to have you guys on our show. And we could not be able to do this show without our sponsors, and that's squatchnut.com and Squatch Juice. Guys, Squatchnut is your Idaho Sasquatch apparel gear, you name it, store. If you love Idaho, if you love Sasquatch, and you love a company that gives back to the community, because that's what we do, we give 5% of all of our net profit to mental health, guys. Mental health is a huge thing. It is on the rise, and it's a very, very serious thing, and that is something that Squatchnut is doing, and we want to try to do everything we can to make a difference and fight that. Squatch Juice, guys, get out there, go to squatchnut.com, get your Squatch Juice. Pineapple mango. It's got 3 super, super beneficial healthy additives in there for you, for your brain, which is your mind flow. That's the first additive. The second multiplier that we have is going to be something that's going to really help with your anxiety. So it's going to help you kind of just adapt to stressful situations. And then it's also going to help you with your immune system, guys. So go on to squatchnut.com, get your Squatch Juice. Boom, right there.
There it is. The
Chris
commercial.
has got some.
Chris, he's the stud, man. Yeah.
Chris, do you like it? Or and there's a sketch.
Yeah, here you go. I
Boom.
shameless plug.
I like it.
Look at
No,
that.
man, no shameless. I like that plug. But
No.
tell us about
Yeah,
Squatch Juice real quick.
I tried it the last time we tried to come on, and I was really shocked. I struggle to find good things to drink for me. I'm a coffee, black, and water. The occasional soda, and tea. And that's about all I ever touch. And it's not bad. I was really shocked. It was a good flavor, and it didn't have some of the powder stuff. You're expecting a certain thing that it didn't have that. So good job.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks, man. And SquatchCon Idaho. Stu, tell us a little bit about SquatchCon Idaho before we get off.
Nothing other than to say, hey, every time, what do I want to say? Every year in Boise, we need to have a gathering to celebrate Bigfoot and Sasquatch. So SquatchCon, that's the idea right there. And anybody in this audience who went, thank you. If you didn't get a chance to make it this last year, you'll show up. You'll make it next time.
That's right. We're working on something. So just to let you know, Stu, I was in Pocatello last weekend, and remember Brandon?
Yeah.
So I actually had a good conversation with him. He doesn't want to do one by himself anymore. He wants to do one with us, and he wants to do one bigger and badder than ever before. So we're going to talk about that. So guys, stay tuned, because this will be the biggest and the baddest SquatchCon worldwide.
In the Pacific Northwest. There we go. Let's go the whole thing. Oh, in the United States.
In the United States. We are planning on doing something that has never been done before again. So stay tuned, guys.
Keep me posted. I want to go. I've never been to Idaho.
Man. You're scaring me.
That'll give me a reason to go.
There you go. We'd love to have you, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So this is Brandon signing off.
This is Stu signing off.
Chris Miller signing off.
Have a great night.